Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 143. Today we'll be looking at probably MUFON cases, but also first of all we'll be looking at this Falcon Lake best UFO event that ever happened in Canada business, and put my opinions on it and see if we can actually investigate it a bit more on the graphic side of things. It's quite an interesting story, but I'll just queue up some intros and go from there and check the music. Pause. Working? Sounds good. This end, that end. So we've been getting some new members on Discord, so do come along and join the Discord UFO group. Is that playing alright now? Unfortunately, our times are more suited for America unless you're night owl in UK. So it's due as well. Pushes it another hour forward instead of an hour back. This will probably be up to 3 hours. There's no guarantee. It's going to be plus or minus on that. It's going to go really, really, really slow for some reason, which we haven't managed to pin. And sounds like hate to those who hate the truth. Isn't that so true? It happens all around us in politics as well as UFO fields. Hello, good to be back. Okay. Just double check. The images of that with it change, just change it every so often to a different color. The blue looks good. So there you go, John. How did that sound? Are we back live here properly now?
Well, the only thing that's really important is that people hear me. It sounds great.
Yep, you sound good this end. I'm not too sure how well you sound on the other side of the pond, but we better type in a welcome message here. I don't know if what's that guy's name? Paul Evans, is it? Scotland.
Which one?
Paul
That's Paul Gray.
Paul Gray. Maybe there's a Paul Evans as well. I'm not too sure if that's another person or the same one. Seems to ring a bell. Welcome to the OT channel. Stream 43. There's always stuff to look at, all this stuff never ending. I'm not sure what's happening out there on the security side of things and whatnot. I don't think he's put up anything new lately, has he? But about this Canadian case. So let's see if I can find it. So this guy here made me rethink of the case again, because we get these fanboys that seem to go into these, or book writers that seem to go into following up these old cases and regurgitating the same old information. MJ Banias, I suppose that's how you say his name. He's started a YouTube channel that Martin's promoting for him. It's got 700 members already in 5 months. So it just goes to show, if you put out something there that's all pro UFOs, but not actually look at it skeptically, then people are going to love what you do. But he mostly does book reviews, people writing about other UFO cases. So if you're not seen the interview, go and have a listen. But he's the reason I brought up this case, because he seems to think it's a fantastic case. But we'll have a listen to a clip of it as well. then I'll get into the actual story about the Falcon Lake. Oh, I've got to get my control window up. So yeah, the Zickers are working, and just me and you, John, I guess. So let's start from here. I didn't actually hear the volume though. Let me just check things out. Even though I did set it just before the live stream. Make sure it goes to cable. Okay, here we go. Is it going to play? I'll just make it smaller window for him. Right, it's muted. There we go.
That's it. It's over. But it's such a great case because you had the police investigate it. You had Air Force. You had military, various government agencies. We have testing results from a lot of the equipment he was wearing that got burned. So it's such a landmark case, at least for us here, and yet a lot of people have never heard of it. But it's incredibly compelling. It's more compelling than Roswell, in my opinion, because of the documentation and because ultimately documents don't lie, right? The Mayo Clinic paperwork that this guy had after he got sick is not telling any lies, right?
So again, another person that sort of gets involved into all the documents rather than looking at a common sense point of view. I don't know how old this guy is, probably in his 40s, 30s maybe. Right, John.
Right, the doctors say this is what he had, and that's what he had. So it's an amazing case, but that would be hours for sure.
Wow. Now we just got like a minute and a half.
Okay, so he was talking about the Falcon Lake, which we're going to recap and go over it ourselves. So see if we can pick it apart.
Handles and yeah, it's a shame that it happened, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, he's another guy that was part of MUFON and dropped out because he was upset over the racial comments by one of the members, and the HQ wouldn't chuck him out the organization. So here, I kind of think that's the wrong approach. Quitting something, you're better to remain in the organization if you don't agree with something, to be able to keep your voice current and effective instead of just running away. So really, you're not really changing anything. You're just running away. But if you just stand your ground in an organization and try to maybe educate the person that's made the comment rather than outcasting them and censoring them or whatever, which is generally what's happening on the internet as well, by blocking channels and things. By blocking channels, you're not solving the problem. In fact, you push it underground. You're better to have it open and allow people to comment on it and be able to influence those people's views to try and change them. So they might say the purple people are really bad, or the orange man is really bad, or whatever it's going to be, and you may be able to provide them information which changes the whole world view. But if you block the person, you can't do that anymore. So this is why censorship is a bad thing. So in the terms of security, that's we have found made fake hoaxes and has never come clean about it and always trying to cover it up. Here's an example. Banning them isn't the solution, but if you take away all his income, ads and Patreon, will he stay around? Probably not.
Let's party.
And I'm probably one of those people that's always been going regardless of the money. In fact, I'm probably still in debt with the channel, even though John's been very generous, helping out with new gear and stuff. I'm still in a hole with the channel, but I still keep on going. And I still need to buy new replacement gear for the house.
Do you know how many street corners I had to hang out on in order to get that laptop to you? It was astonishing.
So John is back with us.
I'm back.
Street corners, eh, John? Yes.
Someone's got to do it.
So this guy was in MUFON for a couple of years. He's done all the podcast channels out there promoting his books and stuff. So he's another one of these guys that I probably wouldn't gel with. it's like me, attention seeking, buy my stuff. I want to be a millionaire, rather than just focusing on the UFO topic. And yes, they talk about themselves. You know, that's what I find with all podcasts now. They're all about promoting someone's movie, book, and all that stuff, and rather than just talking about the subject, you know, and not even mentioning any of that stuff. I've yet to see a podcast that does that, other than my own, of course. You don't see me hanging out the T-shirts at the end saying "Buy my merch, donate to my Patreon," and all that sort of stuff. So I just don't think it's beneficial at all doing that. If people like what they do, they'll find the links eventually in the description or whatever, and they'll do the right thing, you know, and back you or not. So yeah, this guy really likes that Falcon Lake thing, saying it's well documented and all that. But if when we start looking at it together, you'll probably start having doubts about whether it's a legit case or not.
You sound like a skeptic, Paul.
Yes. I'm a critical mind. I'm not gullible. So, but we'll go over it now, and we'll just replay what he's going to say at the beginning here, because it looks like I might have missed it. Let's see.
And convoluted. So I think a lot of my readers were getting just a little frustrated with the fact that, you know, my content wasn't, you know, you kind of read it and go. It's you need to dedicate, you know, an evening to kind of reading it. So it was sort of pitched to me, this idea that, you know, maybe you should take some of your content from your blog and tweak it.
So he's a blog writer. Here we go. What's going on there, Google?
Not my side.
Okay. Oh, well, maybe we can't play any more of that one. We have been censored.
Your ISP is dancing again.
I haven't seen any error messages this end, apart from this rotating thing. One of my live streams rotating though. Oh yeah, let's pause it, restart. I don't think that does anything.
Well,
I'm getting the caps changed, but not the video. Oh well, we might as well move on then, if we can't get it. He's talking about his
well, thanks for stopping by to tonight's live stream. We're leaving now. Bye-bye.
Normally I have to reload the page to fix that one, I think.
Well,
to me, that's another coding problem on Google's side of things. Right?
Do that at your ISP.
Oh, get rid of him. Mr. Bananas. Yeah. Bananas. I'm not sure how you say his name. I'm not Bananas. I'm Bananas. I'm not sure how you say that name. But it probably says on the intro.
MJ Banias.
Banias? Is that a Spanish or something?
Anthony Lape and Banias.
All right, close tab. Okay, but I posted the link there if you want to watch the full interview. And join his channel if you want to. I won't say that none of his stuff is good, but yeah, it's him that sort of brought my attention back to this Falcon Lake one. So let's see. We need to find a good readout for it. So let's see. So apparently it was a typical upside down flying saucer. Looks like it's upside down, that one. But we had some pictures on the opening screen here. So this is a guy apparently got burnt by a UFO. Probably the first case ever to be attacked by a UFO. There's another one also, isn't there, where they had little grabber things with two rotating spheres. So that's the other one. I can't remember what country that was in. I think it was UK, wasn't it? But even that one was a bit suspect as well. So yeah, so here's some pictures he drew of the UFO, and we'll go through what we can here. I'm just trying to find out what images we had of him. Unfortunately, it looks like he's got some bandages on that one. That would have been a good angle to have a look at these things on his belly. It's pretty much the same things that we got here. Apparently, later on, they found some metal melted onto a rock, which is radioactive. But we'll go over it in a minute. We'll just talk about the story and how it all unfolded. And I think this one here talks about it. 1967. So not long after I was born. So let's see how well it reads out. I'll just get it queued up here. We'll get Mick West to read it because he's
the sighting.
Okay, the sighting. We'll read out the first chunk. So what's C2?
Close Encounters. Yeah. That's up Dr. Brewer's alley. I'm not really paying attention to that anymore.
Close Encounters of the Second Kind, which is what? Actually, what before we read that out, we'll look that up. UFO CE terms, maybe, or terminology. Terminology. What's your terms? Is that the one?
CE2, Close Encounter of the Second Kind, within 500 feet.
There you go. Hang on. Here we go. That's right. Exactly after, wasn't it? So, not sure if you can read that, but we'll just get it to read out. I have covered this in previous lives, of course, but there's no point not referring back. We'll just redo it.
Close Encounter of the First Kind, CE1, observation of a UFO within 500 feet. Close Encounter of the Second Kind, CE2, trace evidence of either a landing or a radar lock-on. Close Encounter of the Third Kind, CE3, observation of humanoids, usually associated with UFO activity. Close Encounter of the Fourth Kind, CE4, interaction with humanoids, usually aboard a UFO. Close Encounter of the Fifth Kind, CE5, human-initiated contact or interaction with extraterrestrial intelligence or beings, often associated with UFO activity or other CE5 contact levels.
So that's quite an interesting list there, I guess. I've heard that one. Rapid Mobilization Investigation Team. What they call that in MUFON, they call that STAR Team.
STAR Team, right.
STAR Team, yeah. Rapid Immobilization.
MED, Rapid Mobilization Investigation Team, a SETI group of researchers and scientists who are on call to respond to significant UFO/ET/ETS activity.
High strangeness, that sounds like Linda Moulton Howe there.
Oh, I know, exactly.
That one.
High strangeness, the inexplicable effects and synchronicity of events related to and occurring before, during, and after research missions, various close encounters or UFO/ETS sightings.
So they've got a whole PDF of terms here. I'll post a link to it in case people want to have a read of that PDF. Terms. And we got UFO wave. Okay, that's another one you hear often.
UFO wave, multiple UFO sightings in a specific geographic area over a relatively short period of time. Also called a flap.
Yep, UFO flap. And contact, whatever. I haven't heard that term before.
Contact trilogy.
Contact trilogy. SETI communication protocols designed to establish a CA5 with EBS, ETS or ET by using modalities of light, sound, and thought, CCTS.
And there's
because they haven't put dots in between it, read it as EBS and not EBEs. What's EBE stand for? Have they got that one listed? Here we go. EBE.
Extrabiological entities.
EB, extraterrestrial biological entity.
There you go. So that solves that up. So let's read out this UFO case from 1967, which was Canada, Manitoba. So let's before we do that, we need to also bring that up on the map so you can see where it's going to. Can we actually get that, or is that on the graphic? Looks like we have to type it in. Manitoba.
Manitoba. It's up in Canada.
Where's our map here? Down here. Tucson. Well, we tried to get Tucson, but it didn't quite work, does it? Always goes back to this one. So we want to type in Canada. Well, no,
Manitoba.
Canada.
Yeah.
And we need to see where this lake is. Oh, look, there's a lake. I guess that's Falcon Lake there. So if we scan back a bit, so we're up this part of the world. Looks like a big area and lots of lakes.
Lots of lakes.
Lots of lakes there. So which one's that one here? What's
That's
that?
Lake Winnipeg. It's Lake Winnipeg.
Right, I can't quite read it.
Right.
So
you've got so many lakes. You need to put in the word lake.
it's just full of water, isn't it?
Yep.
It's a lot of water. And that would be a place for UFOs to go, really, wouldn't it? If they want water, clean water, especially from the Alps and snow. Yes, you're right. So we need to find.
Put in the name of the lake before Manitoba.
Yeah. Give me a chance. There we go. Okay, so whereabouts are we now? Let's see. It doesn't look that big compared to the other one. And it's right where exactly? Whoa, look at it. Water all over the place. There you go.
Up over the glaciers. Yeah.
You can hardly see it now. You can see the bigger ones. Winnipeg. There you go. And where's the border? Is that the border? Between America and Canada. It's quite funny how the Canadians become a separate country because of the French, wasn't it? The French were there.
Right.
I suppose they said you can have that cold bit up there, we don't want it. So anyway, we could do a satellite view on this. Boom. Oh, that's not too bad for speed. We got someone watching out there. Who's joining us out there? Do say hello down the side, and if you've got any questions, do pop them up. I do not always check the side thing, but John does if he's available, and I do sometimes pause and read the chats and catch up. But when I'm sort of concentrating on a presentation, don't expect me to answer right away. So here we go. It looks less watery when you look at it this way. But yeah, it looks kind of fairly big lake there, right? I suppose there's a lot of roads around the outside and buildings. Here we go. Holiday places or actual buildings, I don't know. Fishing docks, maybe. Falcon Lake, there you go. Looks like a little enclosed area. It's built up over here. So we don't know whereabouts on this lake he saw this UFO. Makes me wonder back in 1967 how built up it might have been. Why would he be the only one to see this UFO when it looks like there's quite a lot of people around the outside of this lake? Unless it's up in a remote place like over here where it looks like it's got less built up. But that one looks like it's got something on the island. What's all that there? It's not really well scanned in yet by Google by the looks of it. The map's not complete from satellite. See, it seems, you see there, they're scanned. The rest of it they haven't worried about too much. By the looks of it, it's lower res. See that?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Kind of weird. Anyway, we'll carry on with the story. So it's sort of looking a bit more what we're looking at anyway, understanding what we're getting into. So let's read it out.
The sighting occurred Saturday, May the 20th, 1967, in an area near Falcon Lake, Manitoba, Canada, approximately 75 kilometers north of the American border in the rocky edge of the Great Canadian Shield. Stefan Michalak was an amateur geologist and had worked the area many times. In his pursuit in finding silver deposits, he traveled from his home in Winnipeg to Falcon Lake to try his luck. Around 12:15 p.m. while working, Michalak was startled by the cackling of some geese, who were obviously disturbed by something. He looked up and was surprised to see two cigar-shaped objects with bumps. The objects, now clearly a disc-shaped objects, descent together from the certain angle of 15 degrees-20 degrees above the horizon. One stopped 10-12 feet above the ground. The other continued downward and landed on the flat top of a rock outcropping 160 feet from him.
Okay, so a couple of interesting points made there, which we'll find out eventually, but looks to me like he's a metal hunter, silver gold probably, some sort of miner. And the stuff that was found on the lake that was mounted was meant to be a rare type of silver. So is that a connection there that he may have had something to do with that finding later on, claiming it was dropped from the UFO? Also, what was else there was mentioned? Some key points. Talks about right, the cigar UFOs. He said the cigar UFOs, did it say turned into UFO sources? Turned into a craft like these ones here? Or did they come from the cigar UFOs? Not sure how that reads there. In his pursuit of finding silver deposits, travelled from his home to Winnipeg to Falcon Lake, right? So, two cigar objects changed objects. Two cigar-shaped objects with bumps. Hang on. He looked up, was surprised to see two cigar-shaped objects with bumps. The objects now clearly a disc-shaped objects. Descent together. So sounds like they're detached from the cigar objects, right? Seems a lot of activity in the sky for only one person to ever notice it, though. Especially how many millions of people live up there. So that's my suspicions there for straight away. Those two parts of the story so far. So let's carry on reading the rest of it. The question always keep in mind, why would someone want to hoax such a thing? Maybe he had some debt, hoping to sell some stories to newspapers or TV networks to suddenly get some money to pay off the bills, you know. That's what people do it for, you know, which is not good for us that actually interested in finding the truth about UFOs when people make fake stories about it.
The one in the air when departed was changing colors from a bright red to orange to gray, and so on as it flew into the west, where it disappeared into the distance. Now focusing his attention to the object on the ground, Michael saw that it, too, was turning from bright red to orange to grey, until it finally was the color of iridescence of hot stainless steel, surrounded by a golden-hued glow. The craft had no markings. Intense purple light shone from apertures around the dome of the craft. For the next half hour he stayed near the rock, making a sketch of the object and noting various features. The craft was saucer-shaped, about 35 to 40 feet in diameter and approximately 8 feet high. Its upper cupola or dome was an additional 3 feet high. Michael became aware of waves of warm air radiating from the craft, accompanied by the smell of sulfur. He also heard the whirring of what sounded like a fast electric motor, and a hissing, as if air were being taken in.
So, how do you feel that story so far, John? So the UFO's farting, making sulfur smells, which is really rare. How many UFO stories have you heard that UFOs give off smell?
Right.
You know? But sulfur smell, we know, is related to additives they put in petrol now. Combustion engines. What's that music playing?
Hang on, let me mute myself.
Okay, so also he's sitting there doing a drawing of this UFO, and it's 12:15 p.m. So that's what's that, lunchtime? So it's in broad daylight too, right? Going by that timestamp. So let's just carry on reading it. We should really make a load of notes, stuff that we think is relevant to the actual case here, to question things. So next bit.
He noticed that a hatch on the side of the craft had opened. Initially, he could see nothing inside, because the light was too bright. After adjusting his goggles, he can see like beams of purple light forming a column on the center of the craft. Michael approached to within 60 feet of the craft, and heard two human-like voices, one with a higher pitch than the other. He was sure that the craft was an American experimental test vehicle, and walked closer to it, sarcastically asking, "Okay, Yankee boys, having trouble? Come on out and we'll see what we can do about it." When no response was heard, he tried Russian, German, Italian, French, and Ukrainian. The voices stopped. Suddenly, 3 panels slid over the opening, sealing it like a camera shutter. Michael had noticed that the craft's walls were about 20 inches thick, with a honeycombed look or something similar to what he described as great pattern.
So what do you think of that statement there, man? How many UFOs have you seen with purple light?
Pretty.
Yeah, I don't think I recall any other UFO cases talking about purple lights, other than on securing the greenhouses.
I was going to say Tyler has. He even has videos.
Yeah, and purple light could be aurora lights, of course. I think, do you get purple shades of purple? You do, don't we? I remember seeing purple, blue, green, and reds and yellows. So, so he reckons it may have been a military experimental craft coming down from cigar UFOs, though, which could be blimps, of course, which is possible, or some other country's experimental system. So he's saying here he doesn't think they're alien at this stage. So it's a possibility at the moment. So let's keep on reading what it's saying about this case.
After the hatch closed, Michael touched the craft with his gloved hand, burning the fingertips of his glove. The craft tilted slightly and started to spin rapidly. He was standing near a patterned ventilation or exhaust area on the craft's side. When the craft started moving, A blast from this opening burned his upper abdomen and set his shirt and undershirt afire. He tore off the shirts and threw them to the ground, stamping out the fire. His outer shirt was almost totally burned, but he retrieved the remains of his undershirt. A hole also was burned in the front of the top of the cap he was wearing. He was left with burns on his abdomen and sickened, apparently as a result of inhalation of vapors from the machine. He looked up in time to see the craft depart like the first, and felt a rush of air as it ascended. The craft was turning orange and was clocking speed far exceeding known aircraft capability and disappeared in the direction from which it came.
Okay. What do you think of that statement? That's quite a long one. So he, opening on the UFO, injected some, where is it now? Exhaust, he said here.
Right.
And burnt his upper abdomen and set his shirt and undershirt afire. So the undershirt is what we call a vest, right? Which is like one of those white things without the sleeves, of course. He tore off the shirts and threw them to the ground, stamping out the fire. Now, at that stage, he doesn't talk about turning. He's talking about his abdomen and the front of him got burnt, right? It doesn't talk about turning around. So this is important information here of the story compared to what we see on the evidence, which I'll go over in a minute. So we'll just carry on reading. Are we seeing any holes in the story? Is what we're looking for, right? So, is that the right chunk? Yep, looks like it might be right.
When the craft had left, Michaelak noticed a strong smell of burning electrical circuits mixed with the original smell of sulfur. He walked over to where he had left his belongings and saw that the needle on his compass was spinning erratically. He went back over to the landing site and immediately felt nauseous and a surge of pain from a headache. He reached the highway and requested help from a constable of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, who was driving by. The constable refused to help. He also failed to get help at the park headquarters and went back to his motel where he stayed the night before. After several hours, he took a bus to Winnipeg. While waiting for the bus, he telephoned the Winnipeg Tribune to request assistance, asking, at the same time, he said, that they give his experience no publicity. Michaelak was met by his son, who took him to hospital for medical attention. The burns on his abdomen were diagnosed as superficial and returned home. He continued to complain of nausea, headache, offensive odor from his lungs, lack of appetite, and rapid weight loss.
So what was the key points in that story there? He went straight home and tried to phone the newspaper. What's that tell you, Don? I suppose he's gone away, has he? So, sounds to me that he was trying to get his story sold there at that point, doesn't it? So, electrical and sulfur smell. So, this is very rare for a UFO to make a smell.
It sure has a lot of different specialized items in this whole story.
Yeah,
pretty good recall.
But the thing is, what's this about the mounted police again? He reached the highway and requested help from the constable of the Royal Mounted Police who was driving by. Well, that's lucky enough, isn't it? And yet but the Canadian police didn't actually see any UFOs in the sky. No one else did, right? To me, that's a red flag. Something's not quite right there. And as soon as he gets home, he calls up the Winnipeg Tribune to talk to a reporter. All right.
As you do.
Yeah, I got a story to tell you. How much do you pay for it? Okay, so they said this guy made no money from the story, but we'll get more into that. Doesn't mean that he hadn't tried to, by the sounds of it. So let's just keep on going.
Two days after the alleged event, Michalak was attended to by a personal physician, whom he had not visited since spring 1966. The following day he was taken to hospital to be checked for radiation trauma by the hospital's Department of Nuclear Medicine. A radiation pathologist found no evidence of the effects of radiation on the burned area, in his blood, or on his clothing. He reported that the burn was thermal. A week after his sighting, Michalak was checked in the whole-body radiation counter at an atomic power installation. This counter detects and measures gamma radiation from isotopes in the body. The test showed no count above normal background. Michalak said he lost a total of 22 pounds over the next 7 days, but had regained his strength and some weight 11 days after his sighting.
So, it took 2 days for him to go to the hospital. Is that what I'm reading there? 2 days after? If you were so sure that you got radiation poisoning, right? You'd go to the hospital to get some iodine pills and all that by then, wouldn't you?
Yep.
So to me, that's another red flag there. And yeah, I'm surprised all these UFO researchers just think this is such a great story. And they've actually printed on a special coin, which I'll have got a news clip up here somewhere. I'll bring it up some stage of this particular story. So this is the drawing he's done. Although, if you can read that writing, good on you. So that's the days before we actually did hand printing. So I'm not sure if you can bother reading that. 35 to 40 feet in size. I can read that much. So these are the panels that ejected steam, right? That he's drawn on the side here. Exhaust, as he called it, that burnt his front of his shirt as it spun around. So that's kind of weird that the UFO would be that close to him to be able to burn him like that. And what happens when you have exhaust go through holes, John? Inverse square law and all that sort of business. It's not going to be like a perfect jet, is it? So we'll get into that in a minute when we go into the graphic analysis. So if that had jets coming out this way, he'd have to be almost standing on top of the UFO to get burnt.
Yes.
Before this thing would do it, would expand with normal air, and it wouldn't be a jet anymore. In fact, as soon as it leaves that nozzle hole there, it would be expanded already, and it would be wouldn't be like a pole of steam coming out. It'd be like a cone of steam coming out. So it shouldn't leave any sort of burn marks and circles, should it, on his chest? So to me, that's another red flag. And of course, here's a picture of these burn marks of the saucer. And when you compare it to his drawing there, these look that's 40 feet. Let's kind of work it out. So we're talking about a 40 foot going across this way. So how big are these panels here, would you say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's got to be at least 20 that direction, right? 20. These panels he's drawn on the side here would be 4 feet wide. 4 feet wide. So when you look at that there, and then you see that, yeah, kind of to me straight away there's another red flag. It doesn't sort of line up with his story. So yeah, let's just apply common sense to it, really, and science to it. And here we go. What's happened there? Yeah. There's nothing there, eh? Figure 2, injuries on his abdomen, product of a blast of hot fumes, right? So is it healed up already or what? Faded?
His wife put makeup on it.
Was left of his undershirt after the burn.
What?
Okay.
That doesn't make sense. No. They wouldn't. You know, they'd all heal up at the same rate or not at all. Look at that. No. Not fine.
Well, they said there were burns. Obviously, some are darker than others, and obviously he lost his hair. Is it from the burning, or has it been shaved by the hospital? It's not too clear, is it?
No.
Because they often shave the hair off in surgeries and stuff. So it doesn't make sense, does it? Okay, so when I start to see his front of his shirt, obviously it got burnt off. Hang on, what's this on the back of the shirt? Now, in that story, there was no talk about him turning around and getting burnt on the back. Was there?
Is that the back? Do we know that for a fact?
Yeah, that's the back. Because the front of it got all burnt out, it said in the description.
Gotcha.
And you can see these holes don't look the same dimension as those ones. Way smaller, right? But we'll try and fit it in the editor, see if we can match it up. But the thing is, I'm a wee bit suspect here. We got some burn marks going and a square pattern. And I think
wee bit suspect.
Yeah. No, it's that's the best UFO case. It's well documented by the police and whatnot. That's what that guy said on the interview, remember? So, common sense, people, common sense. Does it sound right to you?
All the newspaper.
If you really want to defend this case, come on the side chat and tell us what we're not seeing. But to me, something's not adding up straight away. So we'll come back to that. I'll just leave that one there. So that was the whole story, was it? Well, this is a page 2. Can't see any page 2. Follow up. But there was actually more to the story about finding some melted silver on a rock. Considering he was a silver prospector, kind of suspect as well. The story. Yeah, you've probably heard this story lots of times, haven't you, John, over the years?
Oh, I went ahead and researched it myself about 15 years ago, and I came away thinking, this is full of
baloney.
There you go, baloney. That's what I said. Yes, baloney.
What's that do there? All right. Suppose that's all as to the story. I was hoping it's going to talk about the metal being found. So we'll just close. We'll leave that one there for the time being. So this is the coin. Mint newest coin showcases famous Falcon Lake UFO counter. So there you go. Secure team talked about this. And you got the hot steam coming down. So this is what I mean about hot steam, right? So you can see here they've got it expanding like it should do from vents, and you can see it expands into a cone shape, not straight vertically down and burn the chest. You get a nice little container. Didn't secure team buy one, or he tried to, but they were sold out already. Something like that.
I know he was pushing them on his channel.
Yep. So we could post that one down. So on to what else we can find out about it. So both sides of Stephen Melik. What's that Ukrainian name? Michael Lek.
Yeah, Mishlak probably.
UFO encounter at Falcon Lake. So whereabouts is he here? Who are these people?
Just look for the burned shirt, you'll find them. Whoops.
So let's read out some of this one and see where it goes to. And then we'll look at the graphics and all that, see if we can work it out from the graphics. It's got too many little pop-outs on this page, that's annoying. Let's have a look what they reckon. So I like when someone says look at it both sides, rather than that means they got the blinkers off. And
Seamus view more articles the 16th of November 2014, 10 o'clock. Facebook 0, Twitter 0, Pinterest 0, Google 0, LinkedIn 0. The Falcon Lake UFO incident on May the 19th, 1967 in Whiteshell Park, Manitoba, Canada is an event which UFO believers and skeptics have been splitting hairs over for decades. On one hand, many believe Stephen Michaelakis' story about confronting a UFO and the burns he received. On the other hand, skeptics believe Michaelakis' story reeks of a hoax. This article will serve as an example of reading between the lines when one encounters pro and con UFO debates. Post-UAI, one of the first things the newly formed CIA did was become involved in UFO sightings. There was a whole heap of experimental aircraft out there needing to be hushed up. Moreover, there was a new generation to manipulate. 1947 is the year in which the UFO phenomena hit the big time. Moreover, the CIA formed the same year. That is some coincidence, don't you think? Hence, there is a lot more to Mr. Kenneth Arnold and the Mount Rainier UFO incident than first appears. Sadly, it is not the time and place to go into it. What I will say is numerous organizations emerged after he went public. NICAP, National Investigations on Aerial Phenomena, was easily the most prominent. The big problem with NICAP was its infiltration on all levels by the CIA, and to a lesser extent the UNI. Indeed, many believe the CIA set up groups like NICAP to monitor errant voices and dissidents. 1, 2.
So NICAP, not NICAP. Wish we didn't have these things in the way here. Suppose we could do element hider. Where is it? Is that one there? Nope. Damn it. What was that doing? Where's it gone? Which one's element hider here?
You're asking me? Heck, I have no clue.
Oh, that's new tab. That's right, it's got the radiation filter. So we can probably get rid of that thing there, probably. There you go. Go on. Do I have to do a tick on it or something? There we go, and then we can close it. The tick saves it permanently, I think. So that gets that out of the way. So let's go down and read this bit.
The Falcon Lake Fandango. Unlike today, UFOs captured the imagination of academics, mainstream scientists, ex-military, engineers, journalists, and concerned citizenry. Sure, there was a bunch of UFOs are really aliens groups, and they were vocal. However, in the serious ufology faction, extraterrestrials, while always deemed a possibility, had to pass all manner of serious discussion and analysis. Hence, the tendency for the middle ground to conclude that aircraft seen were likely Soviet or U.S. experimental aircraft.
It's possible. We talked about the two cylinders being like blimps. It had, as you know, blimps used to carry little planes underneath, even the World War II ones, and previously the 1940s, was it? 1930s? When Germans used to fly to New York. I suppose in case there was an emergency, you want a plane to be able to get someone off there. That might be important, more so than the other passengers. I guess they might have had parachutes on blimps as well, did they? I'm not too sure, because the Hindenburg blew up pretty quick, didn't it? Probably was too low down for parachutes. So let's just carry on.
The CIA never liked this group. Hence, they drowned them out by feeding all manner of bogus stories to the UFOs or alien crowd. They then set about using their own counterintelligence stooges to debunk the very stories they had planted in the first place. Thus, the voices squeezed out of the discussion are the ones you read at top secret writers, and those few non-cook alien-believing ufologists who do not endorse bollocks like MJ12 and Sapo. I enjoy the Iron Skeptic's UFO articles, and I found his article on Falcon Lake informative and interesting. However, Mr. Skeptic's article highlights the aforementioned problems inherent in the believer and skeptic debate. Mr. Michalak was prospecting for quartz and silver nearby the lake, situated in the Whiteshell Provincial Park, when he saw two cylindrical objects in the sky. Michalak was apparently wearing a small welding visor, which he used to protect his eyes from rock particles. One of the crew flew off in the other direction, while one craft remained nearby and landed some 165 feet away from Michalak.
So he had a welding mask. Why would you need a welding mask? Maybe use hot flames to melt silver down. So as we read, we find out more about this silver, radioactive silver. Now he would probably been also able to find natural radium in rocks and sort of melt it together with silver to make it radioactive. So to me, that's also like a red flag happening here. So apparently he was known to be a drunk as well, so a town drunk. But they reckon that the police didn't smell alcohol in his breath. But we'll get on to that in a minute. We're just trying to get more and more of the story together here because it's not all in one place.
Via his visor, Michalak noted the craft was not a cylinder but saucer-shaped and changed hue to red and orange. He spent half an hour observing the craft and drawing it down. He then approached it. However, he overheard an upper-class English accent discussing the craft.
What?
Okay, let's just make this a bit bigger. That makes it a bit better, doesn't it? Okay, so we got another picture of this craft, and you see the vents are different now. One on that side and one on that side, not two together, which is interesting. So I'm not sure where that diagram's from. Looks like some variations in the story of 40 feet there. And now we got the vents in a different place. And 10 feet high. So, have I overheard an upper-class English accent discussing the craft? What? Upper-class aliens? So what's he trying to say now that he's saying it's not a military craft from England? Those sneaky English. So let's carry on down what it's going to talk about here. It's coming together slowly.
A drunken sighting. I doubt it. Okay, Yankee boys, having trouble? Come out and we'll see what we can do about it. Michalak yelled out in reply, but received no answer. He then ventured up to the craft, which he touched. It burned his glove. A door suddenly opened up and he poked his head in. Michalak then saw a brightly lit control room.
Hang on, that's
It is
changed.
difficult to describe what happens next. The door suddenly shut and he found himself near a vent, which emitted a powerful gust of heat. This set Michael Ike's shirt on fire and, as he escaped, he became nauseous and started vomiting. He apparently encountered a police officer who wrote a report. This is interesting, for in the more fanciful alien encounter we see he tried to wave down a police vehicle, but was ignored.
Hello, One Life Man. So we're looking at the Falcon Lake UFO incident. So already there's changes in the story happening here in the sketch. Now, the first one we listened to didn't talk about him poking his head in the sea in a control room and falling back as it spun around and ejected some exhausts and burnt him, which is a kind of strange thing for a friendly ET visiting UFO to do, is to harm people that they're meant to be studying or whatever, communicating with. But even abduction cases, right? They return them unharmed and all that. Apart from people saying that they take their babies. Okay, Iron Skeptic. We'll get to his website in a minute because he's talking about this Iron Skeptics guy. Hopefully it's all the sounds working and you're hearing what we are hearing. It worked all right last time because we had some problems with the technical side of the story.
Iron Skeptic believes Michael Ike was likely drunk, and investigators found him to be fond of alcohol. However, if there were signs of alcohol, the police officer who interviewed Michael Ike would have smelled it. Skeptic makes a number of valid points concerning Michael Ike's refusal to show his burns, and not voluntarily showing his picture. He also says Michael Ike refused assistance to a medical facility. However, one could say the police report reflects a person in some type of shock. Hence, what struck me about the Michael Ike case is how unlikely the alleged aircraft was an alien vehicle. For starters, the smell of sulfur would indicate some problems with a fuel line. Would aliens capable of interstellar travel have problems with fuel and need an exhaust system? The English accented fellow was clearly a technician or pilot. Possible embellishments too.
Yep. Okay. Saying down here. You reckon aliens are not from here? Well, it's hard to know. It may be a combination of things that we see aliens as. As I pointed out before, they could be interdimensional from a multi-universe and found a way to break through the membrane from their universe into our universe and vice versa. They could be traveling the immense outer space for millions of years and finally made it into our solar system. They'd set up bases and been studying from afar and then travel to us to get water or whatever that they can't find on other planets as well, because I think everything needs water. Although most people know how to recycle it now. And the other possibility is they're from underground inside the Earth itself in some caverns that have gone unnoticed for a long time, or undersea, of course, undersea cave systems or bases, and simply come from the sea oceans as USOs. So there's lots of possibilities. It could be a mix of all three. So if it's multi-universes, right, it also could be so weird that the other universes have the same people as us, or maybe clones of us, but in different time periods. So that's where the time slips come in, where people walking down the street and then they sort of break into the next multi-universe by some science that's gone wrong with the universe, where the membrane breaks down and then reseals again. So you might be thinking that you're going back in time, but in fact passing into the next dimension, where the timeline is a couple of years or 1,000 years behind us or whatever. And vice versa, you might also have one group of beings in another universe that are way in the future, and obviously the same DNA as us, but obviously they've evolved into these what you could call alien greys, and they're now studying us because their DNA is damaged somehow in the future, maybe from some sun explosion or whatever, or some meteorite impact. So there's all sorts of possibilities and great sci-fi theories out there on it. The fact is, we just don't know what's going on, and that's why we keep on looking. So in this case, he thinks it might be some secret military craft from our own planet, because UFOs don't need petrol, and petrol has that sulfur smell to it. So possibility of embellishment. So let's just read that bit there.
Possible embellishments to story. The alien encounter believers have eradicated this account from their lexicon, while skeptics use the English discussion angle to display Michael-like erratic insanity. Nevertheless, by all accounts, Michael-like was a lucid individual. He also initially stated he thought the aircraft was an experimental vehicle. Both sides of the UFO debate, seeking to frame the issues within their own paradigms, conveniently overlook this important statement. Iron Skeptic points out TH.
Okay. Accidentally selected a wee bit of the next sentence. So we'll go to the Iron Skeptic's webpage in a minute to see what he said directly.
Iron Skeptic points out that White Shell Park is located 75 kilometers from the U.S. border. What he fails to discuss is nearby there are 3 Air Force bases. The Royal Canadian Air Force Base in Winnipeg is the closest. On the U.S. side of the border, Cavalier and Grand Forks are but a quick flight away. 3. The Canadian wing of the British company Avro had tested their famous Avro car. In the 50s it was a joint venture with the USAF. Could this have been a further development of the idea? It could also explain the English bloke hanging around. 4. There can be no doubt Michael-like told some porkies, and he likely embellished his story. Nevertheless, if he was lying about seeing something, at the very least, he chose an odd way to discuss it. Therefore, I sit comfortably on the fence concerning this account. If he is lying, it is no big deal because this has nothing to do with aliens in any way. If it was some type of experimental vehicle, then that is interesting. It pays to question the motives of believers and skeptics alike.
Okay, so we haven't written it completely off yet as a hoax to try and make money from it, because there is that possibility that it was some sort of experimental craft. So we just close that one down now. So we'll come to the graphic in a minute. So there's a whole above top secret page on this too, which is probably, so you notice how the story changed there, John. In the first story, he didn't say a panel opened up and he poked his head in to see a control room, did he?
No, he did not.
And yet on that page, they talked about exactly doing that he poked his head in and then the door was shut and he got thrown backwards, and then the vents opened up and ejected some exhaust onto him. So to me, it looks like the story changed, or people on the web have changed the story. I'm not really sure which is the case in this one.
Okay.
Pretty sure this is
Fair
probably
enough.
where we need Robert, who's got the the official handwritten story in a book somewhere off the very first sighting report. But I think it might be on this To the Star page down here. So we'll go over it, see if we can find it, because that's what really want, the Canadian mounted report.
Right, sure.
That's the sort of stuff we're after on this case. You can see the quality of the graphics keeps changing. See how black the dots are on this image, and it looks grainier and horrible. But wouldn't the police take frontal photographs, and get the proper angles and all that, measurements?
They would take photographs of his entire body. Are you kidding?
Yeah, well, back in 67, I don't know. Back in 67, they might have been less good with it, So here's Iron Skeptic. I did a search on Falcon Lake radiation debunked. So I wanted to see what I could find out about this metal that showed up at the lake. Because he was a silver golden mask, kind of makes to me that he could have planted some evidence later, or he got someone else to plant it for him to back up his sighting. So I'm not great thinking it is a full real story. At the moment, I'm still a wee bit 60-40 with the story being true. So let's have a look at the Iron Skeptic. No aliens required. So it's good to look at the original report and also what the skeptics are saying. Here, I think they're talking about like a campfire and maybe a grill that he stuck on his chest, a bit like a potato masher. So we'll just read it out here. We'll start with some of it, not too much. Do we need to make that font a wee bit bigger for people?
Let's take a look.
Oh, we'll post the link as well.
Okay. Yeah, it is kind of small.
See how that looks a bit better. Oh, I'll just post the link to it anyway. We got one life man with us again. I think he went away. I'm not sure how much you heard what I was saying.
He always asks the same things anyway and puts the same stuff up, so who knows?
Oh no, it's slightly different this time. He's talking about aliens. It's all right.
It's all right.
By all means, One Life Man, get onto Discord if you want to come on and talk about your ideas, and we'll have you on.
That'd be awesome.
Especially Sundays and the weekend ones where we like to have people come on, talk about things. So let's just read a wee bit of this and see what this guy reckons. I assume these guys have found the original documents and studied it, so we don't have to, and then added their own opinions to it. So let's see if we agree with some of the stuff said. Oh,
Stefan Michalak's drawing of the spacecraft that set him on fire. I started reading about UFOs and the paranormal when I was a little kid. I can still remember, with great clarity, one of the first pieces of indisputable evidence I'd seen from the UFO enthusiasts. Back in those days, I ate it all up, believed without questioning, and therefore the picture of a man laying in a hospital bed with a grid-like burn across his stomach, which he claims was caused by hot exhaust coming out of a spaceship, is indelibly inked on my memory. I found that picture again today. The man in the picture is named Stefan Michalak, a Pole by birth and Canadian by immigration. What I didn't know at the time was that the story behind that picture is so bizarre and so ridiculous that it is absolutely stupefying that anyone could have ever taken it seriously. The date was the 20th of May, 1967. The location was a place called Falcon Lake, 75 kilometers north of the Canadian/American border, a sort of resort and vacation town in Whiteshell Provincial Park. For those of you not used to the metric system, A provincial park is the same thing as a state park, and 75 kilometers is a little short of 47 miles.
So the guy is Polish. There we go. We finally got the answer there. One thing that's missing there is we want to know what the population was like around that lake, and was it built up? Was it that remote that you could have UFO sightings and no one else would see it? You'd think someone would see lights in the sky at least that would back up his event of things, you know.
On this particular day, Stefan Michalak was out and about in the park. At the time, he was employed as an industrial mechanic, with a thorough knowledge of metalworking, welding, and so forth. He was also an amateur geologist. Whiteshell Park was mostly untamed wilderness, known for its geological formations, and several mines had been set up in the surrounding area.
Okay, next bit. This one's a bit easier to select, isn't it? And easier to read because of the font.
That morning, Michalak had left his motel and arrived at the park around 9 o'clock. He was on the hunt for silver. Several other geologists have discovered veins of quartz, which promised a good haul of the precious metal. Michalak found a vein of quartz in a marshy area near a stream, ate lunch, and had gone back to inspecting the minerals when he was startled by the sound of geese flying overhead. Looking up to watch them fly, he was even more startled to see two large, red, cigar-shaped spacecraft with bumps on them descending out of the clear blue sky at a roughly 45-degree angle.
Okay. So what were the bumps? The UFOs hanging off the end?
You're so mean.
And a red cigar. Make it red? No.
Sure.
No, you'd make it blue or something to blend in with the sky so it's camouflaged, wouldn't you? You want to make it like a traffic light blinking red. So yeah, to me that's a bit suspect, you know, or he hasn't thought about his story. Well, you have to be like camouflage somehow, you know, it would be like blue with white bits on it to sort of make it look blend in more
Like
clouds.
Sure. Yeah.
Just the what military thing. So that to me rules out it being a crazy Russian blimp with anti-gravity graft hanging off the bottom of it. But it's possible, I guess. But yeah, it's common sense.
The craft that was farther away paused for a moment and then flew off into the sky, changing colors from red to orange to gray as it departed to the west. The closer of the two continued to descend, finally coming to a stop over a flat rock about 160 feet away. It too changed color, going from red to gray to what looked like hot stainless steel surrounded by a golden glow. This is where the story takes a turn for madness. Apparently, Michalak had been wearing welder-esque goggles to protect his eyes from chips of flying rock as he made his geological inquiries in the quartz vein. Now, they came in useful to protect him from brilliant lights that shone out of openings in the flying saucer, burning his eyes and creating red after images.
Creating red after images. So, possibility though, if UFOs were using some sort of field to manipulate manipulate gravity, then it's possibly it could ionize the air and change colors as it moved from red to orange to gray. But you'd think if it's red and orange, right, a lot of people would see that because that sounds like it's very bright because he's wearing welding goggles. To me, again, that's like a red flag. So the story to me so far is not adding up on that particular. So let's carry on.
He stayed still for about a half hour, sketching the object. It was roughly 40 feet across, 10 feet high, and had a small dome on the top that was an additional 3 feet high. It stank of sulfur, which came to Michaelak's nose courtesy of a warm wind being produced by the machine. There was also a whirring sound, similar to a motor, and the sound of hissing gases.
Okay, so if you heard that sound in the air, other people would hear it too. And of course, the sulfur smell. Which I've mentioned already, but we'll just restate things. I've got the hiccups now, damn it.
Suddenly, a door opened in the side of the craft and, above the other noises, Michaelak could hear human voices, though not clearly enough to make out proper words, apparently. He approached the craft, shouting out in English, "Okay, Yankee boys, having trouble? Come out and we'll see what we can do about it." Apparently, at this time he thought it was an American aircraft that was having some technical problems. When no response was forthcoming, he greeted the ship in Russian, Italian, French, German, Ukrainian, and again in English. The voices fell silent. Being, apparently, either the bravest man in the world or a damn fool, depending on your position, he approached the craft and stuck his head in the door. Inside he saw flashing lights, panels, and blinking lights like on a computer.
But he didn't see the people talking. So
Right.
that's another red flag, isn't it? Blinking lights. So 3/4 languages.
It's not unusual for someone from that area.
You reckon?
Yeah, my grandmother was from Ukraine, and she spoke 7 different languages.
Mm.
So it's very common.
I could understand you might know some phrases and things in different languages, but anyway, we'll just carry on. I guess maybe he should have been using his skills somewhere else. If he could speak all those languages, it could be. So, what was his
The
job?
UN.
He was a prospector. So, did he live off his prospecting? It's not too clear at this stage, is it? I don't remember them saying he had another job or anything like that yet, unless I missed it. Let's just keep on playing.
The door, much to his surprise, suddenly snapped shut. 3 pieces folded down like a camera shutter to seal it, and the flying saucer took a sort of funny little hop. Instead of the door, Michaelak was now looking at some sort of rectangular grate, with evenly spaced round holes. A blast of hot gas came out of the vent, setting his shirt and hat on fire and burning him badly. As he struggled to tear off his flaming clothes, the ship silently ascended and flew off on a gust of hot wind. Not only was he badly burned, but his glove had melted when he touched the skin of the ship, and after its departure, he vomited a number of times, felt queasy, and so on.
So, if you get a blast of steam, right, from a hole in a pipe, is it going to leave marks on your body? It's going to be one big red mess, isn't it?
Well, I would think so. Yes, you're correct.
I wonder if we got any other examples where someone gets burnt with like a row of holes, so we can use it as comparison. I'm not too sure. Maybe there is something out there. Burnt.
I'm not sure what it would be.
By steam. I assume it'd be like steam, you know. If it was
What about a waffle iron burn?
Yeah, we're getting into that in a minute. This is where we get to. So there you go.
The gritty of the nitty.
Burns, scars. Looks like they touched a hot handle or something by the looks of it there.
Yikes.
There's hot steam coming out the top there. But you can see to me, this is exactly how hot gas comes out of a hole.
Right.
It comes out like a cloud. It's not a perfect straight line, and it's not going to make a perfect circle on your body, is it?
It will expand as it
even iron has little tiny holes where the steam comes out, right? And you get blisters like that, like this picture here. They get nice, perfect circles. You see what I'm getting at here?
Ouch.
Yeah, you'd expect if you're going to get burnt by hot flames or whatever, you're going to end up with blisters like that. But we saw in that photograph, he almost looked like he was healed, and he had a few little blotch marks on him. It looks like now, if you were touching something, right, or it had holes in it, then I could see if it was on your skin rather than steam, right, that's going to leave a pattern. Burnt by what would you look burn pattern? Touching. Cool. I reckon this story is a bit fake, suspicious.
No.
I'm just trying to get the right search so we can find something.
Burn pattern on skin.
Yeah. There's got to be some examples out there,
right,
where someone's touched something and it's left a pattern. Burn mark skin. See what we can get. Here we go. Got blisters again. Ouch! It looks pretty bad. Some of it, and it leaves scars for life, obviously. What's it? Let's see. The marks of my awakening. So they're talking about devil burns there, I think. Here's one with pattern. Touch some hot plate or something, maybe. Abuse.
Ow.
Oh, that's to me like someone's heated up a potato masher and slapped
that was deliberate.
That slapped it onto a kid. Well, looks like going by the header. Yeah. That's pretty bad. Oh, burn scar problems. Now, that's what would be expecting from a UFO burn and radiation burn, of course. Oh, look, hand mark. Someone was supposed to slapped by a supernatural thing.
Oh,
really? That's possibly a fake, that one, eh? But highly suspect, that one. The way my burn mark. So it looks like they can these marks put on you now by like tattoo people. They can actually do that now, can't they?
Oh, why?
Crazy things people do.
Indeed. The worst thing that I do is just drink shampoo out of the bottle. That's the worst thing I do.
Or eat toothpaste.
Burning yourself?
Eat toothpaste with fluoride in it. Apparently, if you
eat crackers,
apparently, if you eat 47 tubes of fluoride toothpaste, it will kill you. Because fluoride is poisonous. But anyway, you can see what I mean. Some of these scars are pretty bad. Burn marks and boils. But we're trying to find one that was done with a tool, where it's pressed on the skin. We'd probably look at Brandon. They use it on animals, don't they? Brandon. What's it? Let's go on up very quick. Oh, look at that one. What's that there? Well, there you go. Touch the grill. Hot grill on a barbecue. Now, that's what I expect if someone was pressing something on their skin, right? So, back on with the story. Falcon Lake UFO incident. So, was that first one? Was that? No, second one. Suddenly was snapped shut, 3 pieces folded down. So we read that bit, right? So here's these burn marks, right? So his story straight away to me is false and exhaust fumes coming from hulls, because we know it expands like a cone. And what's this one here? So how come it's a lot faded on this one here? Is he rotated around? Why does it look so different on this image here? Overexposed or something? Quite strange, isn't it? So let's carry on. See what the skeptic has got to say. Okay, we got another police report here, so that might be interesting to have a read of that.
Michaelak recuperating with grid-like exhaust burns. Not shown anything involving spacemen. Here's where the first of very many inconsistencies in his story appears. He and his supporters state that he walked back to the motel. On the way, he tried to solicit help from a policeman, who either A, ignored him and drove straight past, or B, drove past him, turned around, and upon hearing the story, drove off. I call this inconsistent because the Royal Canadian Mounted Policeman who supposedly drove by Michaelak produced a detailed report. In his version of events, Michaelak flags him down. The officer asks what is wrong, and Michaelak states that the officer ought to stay away because he may be radioactive or contagious or something. The officer noted that although he couldn't smell alcohol on Michaelak, he looked rather drunk, with bloodshot eyes. He also refused to answer direct questions coherently. He showed the Mountie his burnt hat, but when the officer asked him why his head was not burned, he refused to answer. He also refused to allow the officer to look at his shirt, which the Mountie had noted was burned. Michaelak appeared to have, in the words of the police report, had taken a black substances, possibly wood ashes, and rubbed it on his chest. At no time did Michaelak allow the officer to get close enough to see whether or not he was really burned, and when he was asked questions like if touching the spaceship was hot enough to melt your glove, why isn't your hand burned? He sullenly refused to answer. He was kind enough to make a sketch of the spaceship for the officer, despite the fact that he claims he made one while actually at the lake. Why didn't he just pull that one out and show it to the Mountie? Just another unanswerable question.
Well,
And you don't hear this on other UFO channels, do you? You always hear the nice, clean story. It's the best UFO case. So here's the report, obviously, what he's talked about. We'll come back and zoom in on that. So let's click here to enlarge the image. So we'll do that later. And we'll have a read of it.
oh my.
Yes.
Sorry,
I wonder how
read
many
that.
books wrote about this case. There must be lots of books out there. Everybody keeps picking up this really great story. Oh, what happened there?
I didn't do it. I didn't touch it. I wasn't there.
Oh, guess what? It's popped up with a thing saying you've reached your daily text speech limit.
Oh, Sunny Beaches. Well, let me read it out then. Is that all right?
Oh, you can read it if you want, but we also got the backup for it. So we have to go to the
Right.
American guy down here.
All right.
I'll just queue it up first, though. I'll just unselect that. If it'll let me. Yeah, I thought there would be a limit. So we got that now. So many characters would you think we've read out so far? 1,000, maybe?
Yeah.
So we got to choose this next one down here.
The officer offered to give
Oh, right.
Michalak.
It's gone to the wrong speaker.
Yes, it has.
Because I can't hear it, so I want to hear it. It's my headset here. So we got the drunk American now, which suits this one because he's meant to be a drunk. So even though he wasn't smell alcohol on him, he said he looked like he was drunk. I suppose if you're going to burn yourself, right, you're going to need some alcohol. So let's just read out this chunk here.
The officer offered to give Michalak a ride, which he refused. According to the badly burned man, he then walked to his motel, was afraid that he would expose others to radiation if he went in, and instead hung out in the forest outside for a while. Around 4 p.m., the pain got so bad that he went in and asked for a doctor, only to hear that the nearest doctor was 45 miles away. Insert scathing comment about socialized health care here. So he took a bus back home. But before that, like all good UFO witnesses, he called the newspaper and asked them for a ride home, but no publicity. Once home, he spent a few weeks recovering, eventually getting back his strength and appetite. He claims to have lost roughly 20 pounds in 2 weeks, although he was left with occasional blackouts. The burns on his upper chest and forehead healed quickly, but those on his stomach faded, came back, faded, and came back repeatedly. He was looked at by a bevy of doctors and a few psychologists, who came to the conclusion that he was relatively free of mental defect.
So could he be reburning himself? If they went away, then if you reburn yourself, they come back, of course.
People have done dumber things.
So I like that bit there. Before that, like all good UFO witnesses, he called a newspaper and asked them for a ride home, but no publicity. Yeah. Doesn't add up, does it? So let's keep on going.
This is fun.
Oh, guess what? I've gone juice the wrong one again. Upgrade, upgrade. We want your money.
Always.
Always want money to read out proper English. Okay, I need to keep choosing that one. It's a wee bit slower.
It should be
here, though.
noted here that the RCMP
stuffed up
and
now.
investigators wanted to see the alien landing site. They took Michalak out into the forest, but he was unable to find the site, which, quite rightly, made the investigators suspicious. Later he contacted them again, claiming that he'd found the site on his own, and recovered his tape measure, some soil samples, and so on. Later in this article, when the question of radiation is raised, bear in mind that all of the soil samples that tested positive for radioactive were gathered by Michalak himself. He would have had ample time to, shall we say, fiddle about with them.
Yes. Okay, John. Sorry about that. You're missing out all the good stuff. Okay, let's just carry on. Oh, it looks like a big thing. So, yeah, you don't go to the site by yourself. You always take someone with you to make sure they document it, right? So it's kind of suspicious. Another red flag there, guys. So let's read out the next chunk.
Later on, investigators talked with Michalak, and one of them became, for some unknown reason, totally convinced that the man had suffered a booze-induced hallucination, and perhaps injured himself in some clumsy, probably hilariously slapstick, manner. The UFO enthusiasts instantly leap on this fact like hyenas on a wounded turkey. The official investigators were biased, they say. They had already made up their minds, they say. But here are the simple facts relating to the case. Michalak claimed that not only had he not been drinking on the day of the encounter, but he had not drank any alcohol at all weekend. A quick check with the local bartender confirmed that, the night before the encounter, Michalak had come in and had at least 5 bottles of beer. When returning to the site with investigators, they stopped at a bar and he had quite a few Presbyterians, a drink made with rare whiskey and a 50/50 ginger ale/water. But, I assure you, he is not to blame. Some research performed shortly before I wrote this sentence indicates that Presbyterians are delicious. Anyway, the thing that I don't understand is why Michalak would so adamantly deny his drinking habits. All he had to say was, I had had some beer the night before, but that's not related to this. But instead, he steadfastly denied it, even in the face of the bartender who'd served him. Coincidentally, the UFO enthusiast will go on at great length about how the bartender was never shown to truly be a reliable witness. He's making the claim that a guy drank some beer. I don't need a full background check to believe he might be telling the truth. In fact, compared to the guy claiming he was set on fire by space people, he seems a veritable font of veracity.
So, still going on a bit here.
I'm back.
Okay, John. So, you probably missed out the bit there, read out about the bartender. So, he was denying that he was a regular drinker.
Ah.
And it's not true.
One of Michalak's drawings of the spacecraft. I can't find a legible copy. One thing that UFO enthusiasts like to harp on is the fact that several times, Michalak was shown to have slightly higher than normal radiation levels, as though he'd been irradiated by whatever the hot exhaust gas was. What they don't ever mention is that the investigator eventually determined that his watch had the same level of radiation. Back then, watch faces were painted with a paint containing radium to make them glow faintly in the dark and be easier to read. So one of two things immediately leaps to mind. The investigator accidentally skewed the results by holding his watch too close to the Geiger counter, or that a suitably clever man could have made himself slightly radioactive through the use of a similar substance. Sure, it's possible that he was radioactive because of his spaceship encounter, but I ask you, which is more likely? Cunning man concocts strange tale, doofus skews radiation test results, or spacemen travel a gazillion miles through space just to blow dry a geologist?
Oh God!
But that's another thing, because he's looking for, a miner. Obviously, he knew about chemical elements in rocks. Radium is one of them. He could easier ground up some and spread it onto his skin to make it more radioactive. So what he's saying there is true. And as you know, United Nuclear, the Bob Lazar place, it sells radiant paint, glow-in-the-dark paint, and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, it does.
So you can buy all the chemicals out there anyway as well. But this guy looks like he was clever enough, being a prospector, that he would know all sorts of things, geologists would know, to grind up some and add it to metals or whatever. So let's carry on with the story.
Anyway, the story doesn't end with Michalak's recovery from illness. Not by a long shot. He brought several teams of investigators there a number of times. On one occasion, Michalak claimed to have found a number of pieces of strange metal in a crevasse near the supposed landing site. After analysis, the metal itself was non-radioactive, similar in composition to commercially available sterling silver, and covered in a thin layer of sand. Supposedly, they had been found under a few inches of dirt, and although Michalak had many more samples, he provided investigators with only a cursory glance at a few of them.
So
Uh-oh.
that guy that we talked to again in there, the MJ, what was his name, Banias, he was saying that he went and visited his grandson or whatever, or son. They handed him the chunk of metal, and he said, "Oh, that's radioactive," and it was inside a glass case. So if you go and listen to that full interview there, so he was sort of like excited by that case. This case doesn't excite me whatsoever. Other words, yeah, it just shows how as you get hooked by a story.
That in and of itself should be weird enough that it scuttles this whole case as far as believability goes. There's a guy who has a chance encounter with the spacecraft. Months later he returns to the site and easily finds some well-hidden alien artifacts. They turn out to be composed of materials you can buy at a hardware store. And then he won't let anyone see them, but brags about how many he has and how important they may be. And it turns out the guy is a metal worker, you say? Well, golly, surely he wouldn't know how to work with metals and produce fake samples.
Kind of sounds like that Billy Meyer guy to me. Let's
Yep.
just keep going. Was that the time of Billy Meyer? What, I can't remember the year of Billy Meyer. Of this,
That's about right.
as in encounters, I can't remember what the year was now. 70s, was it?
I think so. 60s, 70s.
Yeah. Late
What
60s.
do we really have when this case is all said and done? A story with at least one major inconsistency, involving the police officer, and one strange inconsistency, in regards to the beer. We have what the UFO enthusiast would call undeniable scientific proof, the radiation readings, that are highly likely to have been botched. We have an insane story about space-age alien debris left behind at the scene, and the highly eccentric actions of the supposedly reliable witness. The only thing that isn't instantly explained away are the burns on Mr. Michalak. And yet, ask yourself, do his burns really prove anything? They prove that he was burned, and nothing more. You don't need a spaceship piloted by aliens to set clothing on fire. Give me 10 minutes and a total lack of adult supervision, and I can burn every stitch of clothing off of your body. No aliens required at all.
This guy's a hoot.
Yes, some skeptics have humor, don't they? Yeah, let's just keep on going. So it made unsolved mysteries. Yep. I bet a lot of people profited from this story.
Yeah.
But obviously, the guy didn't get copyright infringement and IP done through the courts to make sure he gets his cut of the profits. Or did he? I don't know. I'll get the right one.
And the burns on his stomach? Once again, there's nothing extraterrestrial about that. The burns on his stomach prove only that he was burned. It proves nothing about the existence of spacemen. Give me a potato masher and a campfire, and I can duplicate what happened to him. I mean, it would help if you got me liquored up or if I had some deeply profound reason to do so, but you get the idea. So if, as I suspect, this story is a big crock, why did he do it? Well, let's go through the usual suspects. Did he become famous? Yes, extremely. In fact, he refused a ride home from a police officer and then went and called the newspaper to ask for a ride home. That doesn't sound like the actions of a guy that didn't want to become famous. He went back to the site over and over with teams of investigators, went on talk shows, so on and so forth. He even got to be the subject of an episode of Unsolved Mysteries.
Uh-huh. Okay, let's keep on going.
Did he become rich? Not really, but he sure took a good shot at it. He wrote a book, which for some reason was printed in a limited run, in Polish. In later years, he expressed extreme anger at the fact that he didn't make a lot of money off of the book. In fact, the publisher may have lost money on the deal. But just because he didn't end up making a profit doesn't mean that he didn't make up the story in an attempt to make a profit. It just means he did a lousy job of it.
Yes, writing it in Polish only was the mistake. Should have had like a split book where the front half was English and the back half was Polish, maybe. So here's his gloves that burnt the fingertips, and yet he didn't get burnt. I'm not sure what that is there. The cover of his book. So that's his book cover. So let's carry on.
So he got fame, excitement, and took a shot at fortune. What other reasons could there have been? Well, he had originally been in the park prospecting for silver ore. What better way to keep your competition out of an area than to claim that you were attacked and almost killed there? Throw in his attempts to convince the world that the park was highly radioactive as a result of the activities of space aliens, and there's about as much proof that he's trying to keep competition away as there is that the event really occurred. The fact that he later staked a claim in the area certainly doesn't hurt.
Okay, just a wee bit left on this one. That was quite entertaining, though.
When it boils down to it, there's nothing about this case that I couldn't reproduce in my kitchen. Give me a case of beer, my stove, and a handful of supplies, and I could be Stefan Michalak. No aliens needed. Is it possible that he's telling the truth, that he was burned by a flying saucer? Yes. Is it also true that all of the holes in this story and his extremely odd behavior unequivocally point to this whole thing being a work of fiction? Yes. Be seeing you.
So, there you go. So let's have a look at this document up here. How are we going to get to read that? I think we have to save it, won't we? Save image. Are you still there, John, or are you going away again?
No, I'm still here.
Because I'm reading the bottom message there. If you come back, just type back again, whatever. Downloads. Yes, that'll do. Okay, we should be able to open that sucker up now. And we can zoom in. Doesn't that make it easier? So, how far do we need to go in? Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So, if you want to get mounted, you go to Canada.
I'm not touching that.
Not touching that one? No.
Mm-mm.
It's 3 p.m. I was patrolling. Okay, probably need to zoom it down a wee bit. 1/2 mile west of Falcon Beach. So this is what the police officer's saying, obviously. When I noticed a man walking on the south soldier of the highway towards Falcon Beach, he was wearing a grey cap, brown jacket with no shirt, light coloured trousers, and carrying a brown briefcase. Oh, that was what was in the picture then, was it? Let's see. The subject, upon seeing the police car, began waving his arms excitedly. I turned around on the highway and drove back to see what he wanted. He shouted to me to stay away from him. I asked him why, and he replied saying that he had seen 2 spaceships. He said I might get some sort of skin disease or radiation if I came too close. He seemed very upset. I asked for some identification, and he gave me a document pertaining to prospecting, which showed his name as Stefan Mikolak of blah blah blah, Winnipeg, blah blah blah. Oh, I was trying to scroll down. Surrounding his unusual experience, and Mr. Mikolak related the following story. He appropriately had been prospecting approximately 1 mile west and 2 miles north of Falcon Beach. About 12 noon, he sighted the 2 spaceships. So we've heard all this story before. He said they were rotating at a high rate of speed and emitted a red glow. So that's slightly different there too as well. The spaceships landed near him. He reportedly touched one. The exhaust or some sort of hot substance came off the spaceship, burning his shirt, chest, and hat. The spaceship remained a while. How long he was not certain, then flew away. He left the bus to get medical treatment. So they don't talk about them changing colours as they flew away, so he didn't tell them that much then. Michael X showed me his cap, the back of which was burnt. So why would the cap at the back be burnt? Kind of strange, because he said it was at the front, wasn't it?
Very confusing.
Yeah, I wanted to examine his shirt, however, he would not let me, which is kind of suspicious, isn't it? And kept backing away every time I got close to him, which is also strange. As far as I was able to determine, the back of McKellar's head was not burnt. It appeared to me that McKellar had taken a black substance, possibly wood ash, and rubbed it on his chest. At no time during my conversations with McKellar would be allow me to close enough to him to definitely see whether or not he was injured. I asked him why his hands were not burnt if he had touched the spaceship, and he would not answer me. That's kind of strange too, isn't it? At my request, he drew a diagram of the spaceship. So they had obviously pen and paper on them, which appeared to be a saucer shape. I could not smell the odor of liquor on McCulloch. His general appearance was not dissimilar to that of a person who has overindulged.
Whoops.
Oops. His eyes were bloodshot, and when questioned in detail could or would not answer coherently. I offered to drive him to Falcon Beach and arrange for someone to treat him, but he declined, saying he was all right. So that's it. Is it? Scroll up more. No. Approximately 1 hour later, he saw his. No. Hour later, he came to the department, is it? No.
Detachment office.
Detachment office, and asked for me, he would not enter the office. Kind of weird. So there you go. That's the official report. Yeah, I so believe that's Satan. Not. So we posted that link up there on the side chat, didn't we? So we'll just close that one down now.
Well, he was certainly consistently inconsistent. I'll give him that.
Yeah. So I posted this probably a good year ago, and someone posted this on my page, and and after I had talked about a post here back in April 2018, I think these keen eyes have pinned a fake. The burn marks line up on the back of the t-shirt and looks like it was pressed onto a waffle iron. Burn marks on the edges, have to see the photograph. So I'll go over that in a minute and put it through the editor and stuff. But someone posted down here a old-fashioned waffle iron. That's a really classic one, that one. And it sort of looks similar to the square. They're not really round holes on the image there. So we'd have to find is that a 1960s waffle iron? Yeah, it could be, couldn't it? Looks like the right distance apart. So another keen person there, busted. Dan, you should be part of our group, Dan. So let's have a look. Oh, what's going on there, John? We close down that Google Maps for the time being. Okay. Waffle iron, 1960s. See what comes out here. Would a waffle iron get hot enough to leave burn marks on your chest? I suppose you'd have to hold it and press it there for a few minutes, wouldn't you? So here we go. Certainly a lot of designs. That looks like the one the guy sent me a picture of here. That one there, doesn't it? So it looks very similar. But that one's got inserts. Is it? Oh no, they're sort of looks identical. There's another one here. So there's various shapes, obviously, but the square ones looks like the most common one. That one there looks like a good match, actually. This one here, Swiss waffle maker, 1960s. There you go. Well, we might just save that. Plug it into the image editor and see if we can line it up. We'll choose a couple, probably. Keep looking. There's another one. What year is that one? Another big chunky looking one. Commercial one. But I suppose you could even get a broken one, right? So if he's out in the whatnots, right, he could actually put it on a open fire and just press it onto his body. Well, we'll come back to that. Obviously, there's various designs. Most of them are square. Some have bigger holes than others, smaller holes. Did anyone ask him if he had a waffle iron in his house? That's a point. Do you get waffle irons that you can put on a barbecue? There probably is. Probably push it close together and heat it on both sides over a campfire. campfire waffle iron. There's bound to be some out there that doesn't use electric. A grip campfire waffle iron. There you go, Amazon. Well, let's have a look at that link there. There you go. That's what we're going to be looking for, I think. We're going to be looking for something like this one here. There you go. It fits the right shape too, doesn't it? In fact, you remove the bolts on the end here on the on the corner, and just have one of them. You just heat up in the on fire and just slap it onto your chest. So one side of it's got holes, right, and the other side's got the dimple pattern happening. So there you go. Unfortunately, we want a picture of it opened up, and we don't have it here. We'll just go back and see what images we get. So the whole stack of them here. Another one you put on the barbecue. That looks a good fit too, doesn't it? Got the right holes. So we'll save that one because that's what I think we're looking at. That's what we're after. Are you still there, John? You're going very quiet. Okay, it looks like he's gone. Okay, I think we got enough pictures of waffle irons now. So this is the one I want to have a look at. So I'll just save that image. And obviously it's a vest. And we'll have a look at the other link we got there too. We don't need that one. I'll just close that down. And I had all these images of him at the bird mark, so I was just trying to find one that we had a front view of. And there's not too many images, is there? For a famous case like that, you'd expect lots and lots of people taking photographs of him. Especially if it was on talk shows, they would ask him to, can he show the scars on his body? So yeah, just some disappears off the thing. John is back. You're having a fun night, aren't you, John?
Having a great time.
So yeah, we found some waffle irons that you can put on a bonfire and heat up. All right, cool. They only cost $20. You can buy them from Amazon. But yeah, which is an interesting image that we can get here of his marks. Why is that one darker than this one? I think the different angles, is it? Or the same photograph? Different angle, isn't it?
Different magic markers, I'm thinking.
Let's see. Can we save it? Save image. No, it's not going to save it. It's got this strange JPEG. Download. That's a shame. Can you save that one? No. Looks like dual playing around with it, are they? What else we got? We got that one. Looks the same as that one. Does that one save? Nope. Let's go back to this one. I think it might have been on the other page. We saved that. Here we go. So that looks like typical burn marks here. There's no pattern, right? Looks like that might be one of the best images we've got here. But it's not the right angle, really. So that would be a perfect view if he stood up at the bed at that time. We're about to match it up. What else can we get here? Here's one where he's sitting up. Unsolved mysteries. So why can't we see? Is that like a ghost thing going around in there?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Nope.
Let's see if we can zoom in, but
Nope. See, you can see a couple little spotettes on them. So no, that's not a rat.
yeah. Oh well. Let's see. There's some other images here. Okay, that's nothing to do with it. I don't know where that's coming from.
It looks different. Must be all that radiation turned him into a blonde woman.
I don't know. What kind of site is that linking to there? I'm trying to get back and it's not going. All right, so at the top of the thing here. So we got that one, which is no good to us, which is a shame. It's hard to find some decent images, huh? Ah, there we go. That one might come in handy.
Yeah, that looks good.
Notice it's on a different angle now.
Mm-hmm.
He's burnt himself a second
It
time,
is.
and the hair's grown back. Hang on, something doesn't look right there, does it? Yeah, let's go through all the images. We'll save this one because he said that the burn marks come and went, right? You think you'd get all that correct, if you're going to fake something. It's hard to believe it's 2 hours and 15 minutes already on this stuff.
Is it really?
Yep.
Well, of course, I've only been here for about half of it. Sorry.
There we go. There's the other one. It's on the angle again. I think that's our best collection of photos yet. Was it the one we just got? That one looks a good one too. Have we got that one where he's sitting up? I think it's the same one, isn't it? Looks like on a slight angle.
I think so.
Slight angle, but he's just twisted his body a wee bit, maybe. I still think it's a waffle iron burn. And we'll just go over it more. I think that's the best images we got there. Let me see if I can open up the downloads folder just to make sure we got that same one. Could be like another image where it's slightly moved on the same situation where they're being interviewed. So I was actually going to look at that case as well today, but it looks like I'm going to have time. MUFON case. So let's have a look. Let's bring it up. So is that the same as that one there? I think it might be, eh?
I think it is, yes.
Same look. That looks like it's more an angle there, though. But if you chop that off, looks like it's on a slope, right? So if we go to the next one, kind of matches up this here.
Belgian waffles.
No, this is one you can put in a campfire to make them. All you need is one half with the knobs, heat it up and slap it onto your chest. Does that look like it's on an angle there? It is on an angle, isn't it? Okay, so that sort of works. And then we got this funny burn mark on the back. Police reports, and there's another waffle iron that you can throw in the campfire. So that's the images we got to work with so far. So I think that's the same one, but it's more overexposed, isn't it? Doesn't show up so much. But anyway, we'll work with those images, see what we can do with them. So I'll just close that one down now. And do we need this one for reference? I think we've got the images here. I'm not too sure what this one's referring to, if it's weeks later or... Obviously he's got different clothing on here and he's not in bed, so... It's hard to know, really. That's why we need timestamps on pictures. So I think we got that report here, same report. I'm just wondering if there's anything else that we can talk about. Obviously the videos have been taken down here. I bet that was Unsolved Mysteries or something, was it? Originally posted by Full... Can't quite read that. Let's see, what's it saying? I'll just get the right zoom level. So I added this video to a thread. Best evidence I've seen for definite advanced propulsion technology. Some people, I think the witness first guess of it being military and then trying out different languages despite not recognizing the sounds he heard of language from inside the craft. I thought he said it was a posh English accent. To me,
that's what I heard him say.
Corroborates the eyewitness credibility. Obviously, it was a secret military test flight. They probably didn't want to make themselves known to the witness. So yeah. So why is there no evidence of the US military actually using any of this secret electrographic technology 57 years after World War II ended? All the advanced crafts still seem to be using jet turbines, propellers, conventional rocket propulsion. There simply seems to be no evidence whatsoever that the Nazis had any technology more advanced than rockets and jet turbines. Yep, I think the jet engines was the cutting edge as well, wasn't it? When they...
Correct. Germany almost had them, but it was too late in the war for them to deploy them.
Else we'd all be talking German now.
Yep.
Despite some of the inconsistencies in the story, the mystery remains. What was it that caused the injuries to Michael? Waffle iron. 1 month later, soil samples, remnants of the eyewitness. Let's see, zoom out a bit. Remnants of the witness's shirt and his tape measure were found to be radioactive after Michael Lack claimed to have received them, but only a small area, about 8 inches of rock, was radioactive when tests in the area were done. No other potential witnesses saw anything on the day. That's my point as well. So, and they're talking about the Sakaro thing here. So we won't go into that one.
God, no.
No.
Rather visit Utah and the UAP.
Well, you could always visit the site where it's meant to happen and bring it to our channel, John. Another thing that you could do.
Be right on top of it.
Let's see. So, is there anything these guys are saying that can add to the episode on, of course?
Let me send you a little quick image link that I took down. I don't know if it'll help you or not since we're almost at the end of this one. But look at I.
What you send to me? So how many pages went on this one? Where's the page counter on this site? 13, is it? What's that one? 13 liked it. Is that only one page? Page 1 it says here. So there wasn't much said about it by the looks of it then. So we don't need anything there, I don't think. What's this one here? Science and UFO. Oh, lots of horrible print there. I think we've pretty much covered it, the story and all the red flags. So we'll just close that one down too.
Goodbye.
And you sent me something on Discord, was it?
Yeah, it's just a quick thing. You just posted down there.
Whereabouts did you post it?
It was a PM.
Oh, is there anything there that you don't want to be seen on the screen?
No, not at all. Not at all. It was just easy.
Because I don't like doing private messages. Is it possible to post it in the general for all?
All right, tell you what, I'll put it in general flow. I can do that.
I don't want to expose anything you said privately, publicly.
No, not a problem. Here you go. Boom. And there it is. Ta-da!
All right, but I already got some of these images.
These are round. Everything else is square. These are round.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different shapes. Yeah. So what about it? What's your point?
Well, this is the one that most closely resembles the pattern on his chest.
I don't think so. So let me just carry on.
All right, go ahead.
So let's load them up. Paint.net, and let's see what we can do. Last half an hour. Well, we've had 3 constant watches, which is good to see you here, guys. That would be good to have your side chat. Where is it? Import image. Probably would have to scale it up a bit, maybe. Let's see. So let's grab this chunk here. That's looking good. I see his chest is not shaved there, though. Doesn't look like it's been burnt, right? In other post pictures, it looked like he had no hairs on his chest and stuff, wasn't it? So there's the round dots. Yep. So let's zoom in on them. See what details we can see. Now, what's interesting is it hasn't burnt the hair. The hair is over top of the burn marks. So if it was exhaust or flame, right, and his shirt's burnt, but all his hair's intact, red flag.
You're such a skeptic, Paul.
Oh no, I ruin all the fun. I'm a party pooper. Okay, let's bring in another image. Let's see, which one is it though? So be one of these suckers that we need. waffle iron. Well, I'll choose the first one first, I guess. And we probably would have to edit it a wee bit. Rotate it. And maybe it's not the best one, but you can see it's on a slope now. Unfortunately, we want one that's sort of flat on the bench, don't we? I don't think it's going to work, this image, but you never know. We can see the sort of lining up a wee bit though. So we need to tidy up the image a wee bit by deleting some of what we don't want. This is what we do, people.
Now you're in your element. Not that you aren't before. Now you're in your element.
The circle's a wee bit big though. Need to chop it down a bit.
Well, people were talking about that, but I didn't want to mention.
That'd probably be good enough, I think. We'll get a bit of the side gone.
Wow, man.
Let's see if we can then move it around. And looks like we might need to scale it up a bit. Now, where's the grab handles gone? I can't see the grab handles. Here it is. Rotate. Where's the edge of it? Might have to zoom out a bit.
Mom, Paul's screwing up.
Yeah, I can't see the side of the handles. Must have gone off the screen. Oh, there they are. You can see it here. Gone off the screen. The edge needs to be a bit bigger still. Of course, every time you stretch it, you need to stretch it both directions so it stays proportional. Still might not be the best image to work with here. Slightly warped there, I think.
Well, you definitely get the idea.
Yeah,
You do.
let's put the transparency on anyway. And we'll see how much we can adjust it. That matches up. Difference. No, too dark. Color dodge. Can we see the marks for it? Not too sure. Color additive. No. Multiply. Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one, I think. We might have to change around. Negative. Lighten. Oh. It's a wee bit too faded, but we can sort of see.
Yes.
We can sort of see still. Let's see what else is there.
Actually, that's pretty good.
Darker.
I know it's probably tough for you to see, but yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it might be better on a bigger screen.
Yeah.
That's showing more of the white. But we can't see the burn marks. but it seems to me like it's sort of lining up, right? And it's pretty rough because we haven't got the perfect angles and stuff. So which one was it? Negation. That's not too bad, I think.
No, that's all right. I thought it was light.
Yeah, it was light, I think. Yeah. Multiplied. Did we do that one? No. Reflect. Here we go. Looks kind of crazy though. Might be obvious when we move it around a bit more. What else we got here? Reflect.
What about the one that says lighten under negation?
Glow. Yeah, you could change that too. Down, I think. There's another way in doing it. That's not too bad, is it? Glow. Oh well, just keep playing. Lighten.
There you go. Ooh, well,
No,
definitely light.
that's too light, you see. And reflect. That's sort of similar to the light one. Yeah, let's just play around with that one then. So we got the things lining up. The thing is, it looks like it's matching up with the correct number of dots as well, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 up the top here. Yeah, I'm not quite happy with that one though, but you can see here it's pretty close. Just see if I can get the zoom level right. What do you reckon? The distance apart, each row.
Looks pretty close.
I think it needs to be expanded more. How we can do it, I don't know. Might be too big now. Actually, that kind of lines up actually quite good. Looking at the bottom ones here, rotate it.
Looks like a crazy old-fashioned touch-tone telephone dial.
I think the spacing fits that one. Look. There, burn that, there, burn that. And then the next one is there. Yeah.
I wonder if his nickname is Bernie.
Or his middle name. Okay, so there's the rows there, right? I'm just trying to get it as good as I can with that image there. Bang, 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 bang. What do you reckon, guys? We think we've nailed it there with the waffle. I think another image might help out a bit better though. But this is how we prove things.
Right.
You know, and we know that steam expands from jets, and it's not going to leave perfect marks like that on the body. Was there another image there we had to work with? Let's see. On the side of the bed. I don't think that one's going to work too well. I'll just go through them again.
Say, if you've got burn marks on your tummy, are you going to be putting your hand across it like that? No, it's going to hurt. You wouldn't touch it.
No.
No.
Eh.
Busted. Whoop, sorry.
But certainly, oh, got pushed it around. Upside down. I don't think we can use that one. It's too much on the side, but it's possible.
Right.
Okay, this is the other one I want to look at next. So we haven't used this one. This one might be a closer match.
Yeah, because it looks like it's 5 marks up and down. The other one was 6 that you wanted.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so that one might work a bit better. So let's do that one too, but we'll save this one. We'll just back it up. Save as. Like I said, there's a lot of different designs out there, so we don't know which exactly one it is. Well, we call it Untitled 1. Now we've lost a few watches, have we?
I must have scared them away.
We did. Okay, it should be saved.
Doggone critical thinking scares them every time.
It's probably dinner time or something, is it, over there?
It's almost 9 o'clock. Oh, no, yeah, dinner.
It could be bedtime. So it's nearing a new day for a few people. So you can see how I can go reverse on all that. It's pretty cool. You can see all the steps I did. Okay, so we want to import the next one, which is going to be fun. Might work a bit better for us. If I can see what I'm looking for. So it was this one down here, wasn't it? Slightly different make. Okay, we want to get rid of some garbage.
Yeah.
Need a steady hand. Photoshop, Photoshop, guys, just Photoshop. So how many other UFO channels do you know that have done this graphic analysis?
I've never seen it.
Yep. That's my point. I'm brave enough to challenge it. Yeah, I slipped up there. Oh, that's probably good enough. Let's have fun rotating it now. Probably going to be that direction, I guess. Although, let's start to warp a bit. So we need to scale it up to what a size waffle iron it would be. So where's the edges gone? Okay. Have we got the right side? I think this is the dimple one where it goes in. Doesn't really matter though, I guess. We should have done the other end of it, which is the spikes. I think we got the wrong side of it, but it should still fit the pattern.
Correct.
Shame I can't scale it the direction I want to go. Angle's not quite right.
Close. Very close.
Seems that that lines up, but then doesn't line up there. Why, I'm not too sure. So that one lines up there. Looks like it's slightly out though. But then we're talking about a body or skin that sort of moves anyway. So this is going to be slightly out of whack with the lineup. But there's the 5 holes, right? There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, 4. Is that the pokey bit or the sunken bit? I suppose it's optical illusion. It could be the pokey bit going on there. Depending how you look at it. So let's make it transparent a bit then, I guess. How are we doing for time? 2:42 already. We have such fun. Difference. Negation. Sort of there, isn't it? Lighten. Can't quite see that one. Darken. Probably the wrong way. That kind of works though. So we got the holes. Bang, straight over top. Look. Bang, 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 bang. See if I can zoom in a bit. Burn mark, burn mark, burn mark. Probably the angle's slightly going out there. It needs to be rotated just a wee bit. It sort of changes the shape a wee bit, unfortunately. I think it's lining up there, John. What do you think? Give or take a slight flexibility in the skin. So there's a burn mark there, burn mark there, burn mark there. Maybe you can try a different filter. Are you still there? Or are you gone back? John, you disappeared on me. Color dodge. There you go. So you can see the burn marks coming through. What do you reckon, guys? That would be like a cool emanation. Maybe it's not quite the right alignment. It's very close though. There you go.
He has 5 waffle pack abs going on.
Well, you can see the burn mark there, burn mark there, burn mark there, burn mark there, and other ones going further along. And you can change that in and out. So what do you reckon? Perfect match? Hey?
Works for me.
Why would he burn himself and make such a fake story? It's clearly was hoping to make books and make millions of dollars. So that would be like a good emanation if I could record it like that.
Interesting, Jeff. Okay, now you're having way too much fun, Paul.
I am. I think that sort of nails it 100% there. You know, come on.
Pretty much.
As best as we can do. You know, it's a really old case. We haven't got HD photographs. We could do it to the actual scale of the if we had actual scale of the objects and stuff. But I'm pretty sure I pretty nailed it here. It's damn waffle iron that he's put into a bonfire and burnt his shirt. But we go on to the next image. I know we're sort of running out of time now. go to the shirt. Here we go. This one to me nails it even more.
You're so mean. Oh, you just add salt to the wound. I love it.
Okay, so the front of the vest is burnt along with the outer shirt, apparently. They've cut the top of the t-shirts off here with scissors, by the looks of it. There's the neck hole, and this looks like the back of the vest. Now, he never talked about turning around in the story and the jet fumes getting him at the back of his neck. So there's a missing chunk in the story there, maybe, or because did they say the hat was burnt on the back?
Yes, the Aria. Yes,
So could he have missed a bit of a
police
story
said-
there? It's possible. He could have turned around and jet stuff hitting, but I'm still saying here I'm very suspect of this burn mark here, considering it's got straight lines going around, which means you've pressed it into something, right? So copy, placed into a new image.
Looks like something an iron would make.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what the waffle iron is for the barbecue that we're talking about, or bonfire.
Well, I'm thinking one for the front and a different one for the back.
Hello, we've got another watcher. Who's out there? So here you go. Does that look like something that's been thrown on a bonfire and then sort of put onto a waffle iron that's been heated in the bonfire? Well, let's find out. Can I copy it from the other image? So there's our waffle pattern matching up. What if I can copy that and paste it on the other one?
That'd be fun.
Probably won't work. I've probably done it wrong. Paste into a new. Yeah. Well, we've got something here. I'll keep canvas size. Okay, so slightly different sizing, but you can see the edges here lining up, right? See the burn marks here going around, and the line going this way. Slightly different angle, slightly different size again. This just changed the color. What did we use before? I should have made note. Was it lighten or darken? Not that one.
I thought it was darker, and then you lightened it way up.
Yeah, I did. I changed the transparency of it.
Yeah.
So we've got the edges here. See how it sort of lines up. You lying Polish man. Why can't I get the edge of it? What's going on here, John? Why can't I scale it down a bit? So there we go. There's the burn mark there. Sort of lining up, doesn't it?
Ah, jeez, the poor SOB. All that pain for nothing.
Busted. So not only have we got his chest lining up, also the back of the shirt, which wasn't mentioned, is lining up perfectly with one of these campfire waffle irons.
Jeez.
So we could probably darken that too, and we'll just undo.
More salt in the wound. 444.
So how many ufologists out there believe this story? Line sinker, lines. What is it? Line sink and sinker, or whatever it's called. Line weight and sinker. So if we darken it, didn't do much for us. I don't know. But you can start to see the straight lines happening here, can't you? So if a UFO ejected exhaust fumes, right? Why have we got straight edges? So I think it's a waffle campfire iron that he used.
It was a very precise UFO, of course. Very
And if we
precise.
paste the image now over top. Again, it's not quite the right angle. We want to go the other direction, really. But yeah, the size and everything seems to match up, right? Let's see, there's the holes lining up, lining up, lining up. Maybe slightly out still, but there's that line coming down that way. And then the bottom there lines up with something.
You would make a scary forensic detective. You know that?
Yep, that's what it really is. Vern's joined us. How's it going?
Yes, he has.
Why have we got suddenly 8 watching? What happened? And it's at the end of the night that we're sort of wrapping up now. But there was another thing here which I want to show. There was a red edit thing. Unfortunately, I've closed it down, but so we'll search for it. Red edit. Falcon Lake. Probably come up quite easily. Possible inconsistency. There we go. How's it going, Ben? Did you get some sleep? What else? Who's out there? Anyone else? So, what do these guys say here? The experts on Reddit. Notice how the burns on his chest are at a oblique angle and fade in, while the lowest ones are precisely circular and distinct. That suggests he was bent forward and only his lower belly was perpendicular to the radiation. So that sounds like a believer to me. The UFO could have been well above his head when it happened, but that's not the story he told, though. He said he poked his head into the saucer and got pushed back and the door shut, and then the jets, the vents ejected. So they're not too sure about the story, obviously.
Yeah, was this before or after the posh English accent?
Yeah. Well, it looks like some of these have been closed down now. How do we expand them? Here. There we go. There are a load of inconsistencies and a preference to talking to the press. I think the general accepted story is the guy got drunk doing something illegal and accidentally burned himself. I don't think so. I think he faked it on purpose. Then either broke into somewhere or happened upon naturally occurring radioactive ore. So obviously that they didn't follow my story. You know, he was a prospector, so he would know all about ores and radioactive soils. So this was a year ago. Condom report you'll find him stated that they were burned. The burn was thermal. No radioactive enters the story until weeks later, when Malik appeared claiming to have found the site with Gerard Hart. Although he has been told not to disturb or touch, return to the site, not clear if RCMP and extensively examined the area. All they found a small patch of radioactive about half a foot, 8 inches on the top of the rock. Items investigated before, same as background radiation, or slightly higher. Additionally, the site he brought them to had a number of obvious differences with the site he had described earlier. So on. A year later, McCulloch once again reappeared, claiming they have been there at the time. One investigation, these turned out to be commercial sterling silver covered in a fine melted sand, like refractory sand used in casting. Yep.
Whoops.
And the radioactivity could easily be washed off. It appeared to be a natural form of pitch blende ore. See, that guy could smelter and all that sort of stuff because he's a metal worker. Since then, the site has been revisited by a number of investigators of various makes, some of whom claim there is radium in the soil, while others debate this. A more serious note found in the condom investigation was that there was a number of fire observation towers in the area, all of them manned due to the dry weather, and none of them reported seeing the craft. That's what I've been saying from the beginning too, John. They also suggested they would have seen the smoke, even the burning Tshirt, and none were seen. Additionally, the craft was said to have left in the direction that would take it directly over a nearby golf course. I assume the Falcon Lake golf course at about at 4,000 feet, and although there were hundreds of golfers that day, at 3 p.m. it was too, none of them reported anything. 3 radar stations covering the area also saw nothing unusual. The final curious bit involves an RCMP officer who was flagged down by Malik. According to Malik, he refused to help and drove off. So we've covered all that before. So yeah, he's covering all the same things that we were talked about tonight. I have serious doubts about the story. Yes, so do we now. We can see 4 times 5 dots on his body clearly enough. I think there's a hint of the corresponding top row of the t-shirt, and additional 2 dots could possibly be below the waistline of the pants. Wherever that top row on the shirt is there, it's hard to say because the image is not very high resolutions. Do we have a better image? Chest hair not singed either. That's what I pointed out too. He burnt himself with a cooking device, maybe like a waffle iron, to commit to the hoax. Nobody would have burnt themselves like that for a hoax. Yeah, people are just so gullible. You think return had to be monetary. For a lot of the UFO community, I believe it has zero to do with money and more to do with borderline head problems. The burden's is not on me. Why would they even solve this or help you understand my point any better? No, sir, because you made a specific claim about UFO hoaxes in the community, and how is it perfectly logical to expect someone to physically harm themselves to complete a hoax? I asked for evidence supporting your assertion, and we both know there is none. I can't prove the case is a hoax or real. I am simply saying to dismiss it based on being probable he self-harmed is not supported by any historic precedent, so the burden is indeed upon you. So obviously they're fighting here. How can you know there is none? Are you an idiot or something? It's highly doubtful based on literally thousands and thousands of reports and hoaxes throughout the 20th century and 21st. Nobody has ever done anything like this to themselves to convince people they had a first contact experience. They fake videos, things. There's always exception to the rule though, guys. So this one's arguing. The stains on the guy's abdomen remind me of some food or creamy allergy test reaction.
Ooh, actually, he's right. I took those tests. They do look like.
All right.
Yep.
But would they be in the shape of a waffle iron with the straight edges?
Actually, what they do is they take a ruler and they mark up and down your back in 1-inch increments, and it's all very beautifully done in a grid pattern. So,
But why would you have a straight line at the side and bottom that we just looked at? And the it wouldn't be like this here, right?
no, I agree.
Whereabouts did we have it? I think we've changed it, but you wouldn't have like burn marks like that, would you? And straight lines underneath thing, because we enhanced it here, right? And compared it to a waffle iron that you stick in the campfire. So I think we've sort of busted it there, guys. And I've running over time now for 3 hours. So it's amazing the time flew by on that particular case. But I think it needed to be done. Everyone keeps putting out these cases and writing books on it, and not having a critical view on it, or do an analysis like we just did here. That one there with the chest one especially, and of course if we could emanate it, make an emanation of it would be really cool. But with that going in and out like that, where it sort of overlays, busted. I just love that. So
obviously.
Yes, so we saved the image there, and I might just save that one there, side-by-side comparison. Although I probably won't make a new thumbnail for it, probably. I'll just keep it how I got it.
You just want to save it for a chuckle later.
I'll probably have to revisit it, and you probably have someone like Robert saying, oh, you missed this, you missed this, you missed this. You missed this report by FBI or whatever, Project Blue Book. Who knows? I may have upset some people debunking that one. No,
you never do. No. You never do.
Well, that string worked flawlessly. I don't know if the sound all worked nicely there. Hopefully it did.
Yep. The few times I listened in on YouTube, it sounded pretty darn good.
I might actually post
Especially me.
I'll post those images up on Twitter, I think, tonight too. So people can...
There you go.
And put it with the post of the episode so people can have a look.
We have a new watcher here, 1111 on the side chat.
All right. Yeah, he's been here before, I think.
Oh, okay.
Don't save. Put the Reddit post there, so you want to have a read of that one too. I hope you found that stream good fun there, John.
That was great. I enjoyed it.
Your mum interrupted you a few times, though, but that happens.
That's okay. It's all right.
And I was going to look at this MUFON case that was recommended to Lions Ground, but I'll cover that next time, and we'll do some zoom-ins on it and see what you think of that one next time. I might just keep all these images with the folder I make as reference, in case we want to refer back to it. So what did the guys say down the side before we started wrapping up? I've seen things I can't explain. Personal research. Was it not scrolling up? So 111, you should join our Discord and come and chat with us, and maybe come on live. Maybe if you got some stories out there you want to tell us. Vern disappeared quick, didn't he? What happened to Vern? Popped in, disappeared. Okay, so just wrap up now. And the next one is Sunday, my time, at the same time. Yeah, we started early, but there's always a chance that we can make it longer than 3 hours if we have enough people that's interested. Depending on how much stuff we're looking at. You can see this particular case took 3 hours to go through to look at all the different viewpoints on the case.
Right.
And variations in the story. There was quite a few there. And of course, the graphic analysis at the end took 30 minutes there.
And just as kind of a quick little reference, guys, if you're listening, we started tonight at just a little bit after 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here in the United States for me. Paul, of course, is tomorrow, and who knows what time it is for him. We don't pay attention to that.
Yeah, so that's the time in America that you need to get used to. But if you come into the Discord group and you're not sure, you can always ask about, and we'll help you out. And you can supply us links to your videos and photos that you want us to look at. And we'll give it a critical eye and opinion. Because things do get mistaken what it is. So I'm just going to wrap up this live session here and put my Goodnight Kiwi, Matrix Kiwi on. And hopefully we'll see you next time. And do like and share, of course. Yeah, you can keep talking still.
Good night, guys.
Okay, good night. Hopefully the sound's going to play. I think it's a wee bit loud still. Where can I turn this down a wee bit? Hang on, turn it down a wee bit. Hopefully it sticks. I think that's about right. Good night, everybody. And 111, thank you for joining us. Yeah, we'll catch up with you.